All right, it is streaming live now. We are reading this book, Healing is the New High. Welcome to the Elevate Sessions of Happy Souls Club, the YouTube family. We are on chapter 1. Let us continue. We left at this page. How to use this book. You'll need a notebook and a pen or pencil and a desire for growth and change. I've designed this book to be used in two ways. First, work through it step by step from the beginning to the end, because each chapter builds on the previous one and each exercise builds on the last. It's a journey in itself. When you reach the end of this process, you'll have taken huge steps towards healing yourself. But everyone's journey is different, and there are always be loops in the path and potholes in the road. Second, when you work through the book once, go back and reread the chapters that you feel called to work on more. Use the practices that feel most helpful to you again and again. Redo them, rework them. Each time you use one of the practices, write it down in your notebook so you can measure your progress over time and see how far you've come. Keep this book on your desk or by your bed or in your bag. Return to it when you feel triggered or overwhelmed and need to be reminded of how to ground and steady yourself. And whenever you lose your way and can't see the path clearly ahead of you, come back, read, settle, breathe. There's no such thing as failure. No matter how many times we fall down, we can always get up again. Now let's do it. Each of the chapters that follow is centered on one of the 7 bodies. In this way, the book builds gently and sequentially. You'll move deeper into yourself and explore subtle parts of human experience. Enjoy the journey. It might just change your life. Beautiful. Wonderful. Let's go ahead. Chapter 2. Start with the body you know. The physical body holds our pain, but it can also be the key to releasing it. We begin our journey through the 7 bodies with the one we are most familiar with. Let's start with a question. What's your relationship with your physical body like? I hope that there's some love, appreciation, and positivity there, but you wouldn't be alone if you did have some worries about your body. In fact, you've been through any kind of traumatic experience in your life, it's probably settled into your physical somewhere, stored away and remembered so that you can feel it when you walk or run or bend or breathe or lie still. The hardest moments of life were mapped in my body. And when I went through that breakup, the pain I felt wasn't only emotional. Walking down the street, I'd see something that reminded me of my ex, a woman dressed in clothes similar to those she'd worn, or a couple arguing, which she'd have commented on, whispering conspiratorially in my ear, and my heart would pound. My chest would tighten and it become hard to breathe, and then I'd feel sick. My legs would suddenly get heavy and I'd find it harder to walk. I'd seem to forget how to move my limbs in harmony with one another. That physical intensity was always quickly joined by emotional distress, and I'd feel hopeless. How could I move on if there were reminders of her everywhere, and if my body wouldn't allow me to walk past those reminders without disintegrating into panic and despair? If the traumatic event you experienced was largely physical, your body's reaction to trigger may be even more debilitating. When someone or something hurts us, the physical body holds on to that pain. We don't just let it go the moment the experience is over. We can let it go later, but doing so takes awareness, willingness, and effort. When someone or something hurts us, the physical body holds on to that pain. We don't just let it go the moment the experience is over. We can let it go later, but doing so takes awareness, willingness, and effort. Work with the physical body to kickstart healing. A few years ago, I worked with a coaching client who wanted to establish more positive routines and habits in her life. Her main goal were to get fit and to get out more. She felt she'd become reclusive and had developed anxiety in relation to going out and socializing. She wanted to feel confident and happy, enjoy spending time with people. We agreed to start by combining the two goals. She signed up for a workout class that had a sociable vibe. I'm so sorry. The participants usually went for a drink together after each session and also met up in the park at weekends for extra workouts. It seemed that a simple way to kill two birds with one stone. With the structure and support, my client needed to feel comfortable about putting herself out there. And yet, as the weeks went on, she found the sessions more and more difficult. It wasn't the workouts themselves she was struggling with, although she'd felt niggles in her lower back and hips that developed into ongoing pain. Instead, for 2 full days before each session, she'd agonize over the post workout drinks. She'd call me and say, I can't stop thinking about it. I can't go. I don't know what I'll say and what I'll do with my hands. And what about the walk from the gym to the pub? Who will I walk with? What if no one joins me and I'm walking alone? Everyone behind everyone else, like an idiot. Why would that happen? I'd ask. Why wouldn't it? I feel like this isn't the right plan. It's not working. I'm not feeling more confident. I'd reassure her that it was early days, but inside I was concerned. At that stage of a coaching program, it was unusual for a client not to feel the force of possibility and hope, at least a little bit. I thought that the workout session would give her a soft landing, a low pressure way to start putting herself out there, but it was so much harder for her than I'd expected, which led me to wonder if she'd given me the full story. So, for the second time, I asked her, when do you think you started to struggle with social situations? The phone line went silent for a while. Then, ignoring my question, she said, what if they don't really want me to come to the pub and they're just letting me tag along because it would be rude not to? But actually, they hate me. Wow. Let's rewind a little, I said. Why would a group of relative strangers hate you? That's a very strong emotion. I'd bet that they're mildly curious about who you are and interested in having a chat and finding out a bit more. It's a low key social gathering with a group of people who go to a workout class together. Social politics are at a minimum there. I've always been hated. There. That was it. She'd said out loud the thing she'd been most ashamed of for years, the thing that she'd been carrying with her secretly, hoping no one else would notice. I knew this was a pivotal moment in her journey and that I had to proceed carefully. If I said the wrong word, she could interpret that as me reinforcing this belief she had about being hated, and then there'd be no way I could help her. She'd walk away. Okay, I said, I respect that belief. I understand that it came from somewhere. And for us to move past this moment, find a way to get your confidence up, we need to talk about where it might have come from. Because, and I say this with kindness, I promise, it's very unlikely that it's true. You haven't always been hated. You are certainly not hated right now. I don't hate you. Thanks, she hesitated and went on. I used to have a really great group of friends. We met at school when we were teenagers and we stayed friends into our 20s. One of them, well, I fell in love with one of them and I thought he fell in love with me. And we got married when we were 25. We got together when we were barely 17 and we were together for 10 years. And the whole time I thought we were happy. She paused and I said nothing. This was a time to practice listening, not a time to push. Then I came home one day and one of our friends was there. There were 8 of us in the group, and she and I, as close as the rest, or I thought we were. I didn't get it to start with. She was in my living room in her underwear, holding the TV remote control in one hand and a drink in the other. I thought, well, I don't know what I thought. Then my husband walked out of the bedroom and he was in his underwear too. And that was it. I knew. He was cheating on you with your friend, I said. Yeah, but this is the thing. The whole group knew about it. And they'd been doing it for years since we were 18. They'd always been doing it, and our whole relationship, our whole marriage, and I was the only one of the eight of us who didn't know. They'd all been on it. So they hated me. That's all it could have been for them to all trick me. I heard her voice crack. So I told her to take some time to rest and relax. We'd meet and make new plan the following day. And I understood it. Her struggle with being in a group of people and her fear of being the one who was left out and judged and secretly shunned. It wasn't a fear of new people or a fear of people at all. It was a fear that she wasn't good enough to be an equal part of something. She'd been pushed to the edges of something she thought was safe and loving, and she'd been more than betrayed. She'd been made to feel worthless. She wasn't unusual in internalizing that. It'd be hard for anyone not to. It's hard not to internalize pain and blame when your partner cheats on you, but when a group of friends are in on it and lying to you, how can you convince yourself that they were all doing something bad and not just behaving in the way you deserve? When my client and I met next day, we decided to start small. For now, let's forget about going for the post class drink, I said, and focus on the class itself. So she said she went to the class twice a week, and for a couple of months, she didn't even entertain the idea of joining the group at the pub afterwards. She just did the practical, physical thing and then said her goodbyes and left. And the result of doing that surprised us both. The pain in her back and hips completely disappeared. It wasn't actual pain from the exercise, she said. It was the fear of going out after the class. When I stopped feeling that, I stopped feeling the pain. That was a huge moment in her personal healing journey. Not everything was solved right away, of course, but she experienced the physical power of her emotions and anxiety in a tangible way. And for me, it was an equally huge moment in my coaching work and in my own inner healing process. I'd read books and heard lectures about the way we store trauma in our bodies, but it hadn't been shown to me in such an unmistakably clear way before. Not only was my client carrying that pain in a particular area of her body, but beginning to work with her body, just her body started to release the emotional pain as well as the physical pain. Within weeks of attending those sessions and no longer feeling the physical pain, she started thinking again about going to the pub with a workout group and found that she wasn't afraid. She'd worked on the physical first and the emotional healing followed. Of course, it took much more time to go deeper and get to a place where she genuinely felt strong and confident and worthy of love and respect. But the physical work kick-started the process and acted as a key to unlock the door that led to her unique inner healing path. When someone or something hurts us, the physical body holds on to that pain. We just don't let it go the moment we experience it. The experience is over. We can let it go later, but doing so takes awareness, willingness, and effort. What's your relationship with your physical body like? Let's return to this question. Don't get me wrong, I know this isn't an easy one to answer. While some of us do have an existing understanding of how we feel about our body, others have lived up to this point absolutely determined not to accept that this relationship is complicated. I don't know about you, but I have never met anyone, either in my professional life or in my personal life, who didn't have some kind of physical hang up or who felt completely comfortable with everything about the way their body looked, felt, and worked. Because almost every experience we've ever had is recorded in our bodies. Some are present in obvious ways, like an injury or a scar sustained in a traumatic incident, or a way of moving that developed because of criticism or pressure to conform to a norm. For example, I have a friend who walks with his feet turned outwards in a way that looks pretty uncomfortable. And when I asked him about it once, he said that as a child, his grandparents told him he was pigeon toed and made him correct it. Although his knees and hip joints have suffered ever since, he's never been able to let go of this deep seated belief that if he walks with his feet turned inwards, he's somehow not good enough. Yet other experiences are present in much more subtle ways. A twinge of pain when we sit in a certain position, a rigid belief that our bodies are incapable of doing something, a digestive issue connected to stress, a fear of our bodies looking a particular way to other people, or a fear of our bodies being seen at all. So, because I know it's not easy question, I don't expect you to come up with the answer just by thinking about it. Instead, I'd like you to settle into the first practical exercise in this book, a practice that will begin to prepare you for everything that comes later. It's a way to ask your whole body instead of your brain alone how it's doing and to acknowledge discomfort where discomfort exists. Practice number one, the personal history body scan. Body scan exercises are used in all kinds of bodywork methodologies, including yoga, different schools of meditation, and with good reason. The science behind such methods has been explored in much more depth over the last decade or so, and it's become blindingly clear that the benefits of body scan based practices aren't just spiritual pseudoscience. Experts from different fields, including psychology and neuroscience, have found that exercises similar to the one I share later can have powerful outcomes from treating insomnia to easing the effects of stress, depression, anxiety disorders, and even post traumatic stress disorder. This particular body scan technique will do the following: create an overall experience of deep relaxation, and from there, you can feel the edges of your body and notice discomfort without being afraid of it. Help you learn to tell the difference between physical discomfort, that's only physical, which I believe is very rare, and physical discomfort that's connected to emotional discomfort or trauma. Hone your ability to recognize patterns in a way you feel so that over time it gets easier to pin down exactly where in your body you are holding past experiences. In turn, this means you will know which areas of the body to work with in order to release those experiences and progress along with your inner healing path. Feel close to your body and experience warmth and love towards it instead of feeling detached from or distrustful of it. Act as a healing practice in itself. The experience of settling into your body and being present with it and feeling the roots of your vibration and noticing where positive energy flows freely and where it doesn't will help you to become more attuned with your body, and inner harmony will begin to unfold. When it comes to healing, awareness is a key. When it comes to healing, awareness is the key. You've got to be willing to notice what's going on with you. And it's crucial to develop tools like this one that allow you to focus, become present, and acknowledge how you're doing in this moment. Most body scan practices are done with the eyes closed. This is because closing the eyes helps to take attention away from our external senses and focuses the mind inward on the internal experiences. But this one can be done with the eyes closed or open. It's your choice. I've designed the practice to work in this way because I understand that if you're dealing with certain forms or manifestations of trauma, closing the eyes can make you feel incredibly vulnerable, not in a good way, or trigger panic or emotional distress. And that will be much more distracting than simply having your eyes open. On top of that, an eyes open practice means you can dip into these instructions as you go along. If you need to, then maybe when you've got the hang of it, you can try this exercise with your eyes closed if you feel comfortable doing so. When it comes to healing, awareness is the key. You've got to be willing to notice what's going on with you. And it's crucial to develop tools that allow you to focus, become present, and acknowledge how you're doing in this moment. Beautiful. Map your history physically. Find a quiet room where you won't be disturbed by anyone for a while. Make any adjustments you need to feel comfortable, secure, and calm in this room. Perhaps by closing the door, opening a window to allow fresh air in its if it's warm, or using a heater or blanket if it's cold. And then you're ready to begin. Read the following instructions in full before you start the practice, but feel free to refer back to them during it if you need to. Number one, lie flat on your back with the legs wide apart and the feet dropped outwards. Take your arm out to the side with the palms facing towards the ceiling. If you feel pain or discomfort in the lower back when you lie like this, you can place a couple of cushions underneath your knees. Alternatively, you can bend your knees or bring your feet flat to the floor, close to your hips. Elevating the knees will release the lower back towards the floor. Number two, if you wish to close your eyes for this practice, now is the time to do so. If you are keeping your eyes open, let your gaze soften so it becomes a little blurry, almost unfocused. Number three, make any final movements you need to make in order to feel completely comfortable here. If there's a itch, scratch it. If there's a niggle, stretch it out. If there's hair or clothing in your face or bothering you somewhere else, move it. And then when you're ready, settle into the stillness. Number four, starting at the feet, notice every part of your body in turn. You don't have to do anything at all. You don't need to move or change that part of your body as you notice it. Just notice it. This is the practice of scanning your body. Work all the way through your body in the following order. Notice the toes of the right foot, sole of the right foot, heel of the right foot, top of the right foot, whole of the right ankle, right shin, then calf, right knee, front, then back, right thigh, front, then back, right buttock, right hip. Become aware of the whole of the right leg and foot. Then notice the toes of the left foot, sole of the left foot, heel of the left foot, top of the left foot, whole of the left foot, left ankle, left shin, then left calf, left knee, front, then back, left thigh, front, then back, left buttock, left hip. Become aware of the whole of the left leg and foot. Now notice the lower abdomen, belly button, lower ribs, upper ribs, right side of the chest, left side of the chest, front of the shoulder, top of the shoulders, back of the shoulders, right fingers, right palm, right wrist and forearm, right upper arm, left finger, left palm, left wrist and forearm, left upper arm, upper back, mid back, lower back. Wrap the awareness around the sides of the body, both sides of the waist, and then become aware of the whole torso. You're completely aware of your whole torso. Now notice the throat, the chin, jaw, mouth, right ear, left ear, nose, bridge of the nose, right eye, eyebrow, left eye, eyebrow, forehead. Allow the awareness to travel upwards still. Notice the top of your head, the back of your head, and then the back of the neck. You're aware of the whole of your head and the neck. And then notice the whole body. From the tip of the toes to the top of your head, you're completely aware of the whole body, relaxed, calm, and still. You're completely at ease. Number five, lying here with this focused, alert, and maybe bit of a at a maybe a bit blissful awareness of the whole body. You're beginning to feel into your physical experience. You're connecting with your body. You're acknowledging the symbiotic relationship between every part of you and every other part of you. So now become aware of your vibration, of the sensation of energy that's coming from your body. Notice that all overall vibe. It might feel like a kind of heat or a visceral pulsing energy, or it might feel more subtle, something you sense without any noticeable physical sensation. This relaxed, aware state is ideal for noticing where you are at and whether your vibration is low, heavy, or slow or high, vibrant or flowing freely. Number six, then allow the awareness to travel to any areas in the body that don't feel quite right. This will feel different for everyone. You might notice areas that feel tense or uncomfortable, or as you move the awareness through the body in any direction that you feel called to move it, you might notice that you automatically avoid certain areas or rush past them because they trigger an uncomfortable emotion or memory. Focus on those areas again. There's nothing to do, just notice them. Allow the awareness to rest in those places, acknowledge the feeling that exists there, accept that there's something there that may need to be healed. Number seven. Finally, lay your hand on your chest with palms facing downwards. Thank yourself for working through this practice and make a promise to your body by voicing the following phrase aloud or internally in your mind. I will give my attention to the areas that have asked for my attention. I will heal what needs to be healed. Number eight, take a deep breath. And then when you feel ready, gently sit up. Take your time to transition out of this practice and into the rest of your day. There's no rush. Resistance is the clue. Any thought, emotion, sensation, or experience that you try to resist or avoid exposes a space inside of you that's calling out to be healed. Within reason, of course, it's normal and healthy to want to avoid objectively awful experiences. The exercise you've just worked through is a simple way to begin noticing that resistance so that you can build a more solid understanding of what you can focus your inner healing energy on at any given moment in time. In other words, you don't need to be scared of the things you feel a strong aversion to. Instead, you can welcome those things as clues and aim to approach them with curiosity rather than fear. You'll probably find that shifting approach in this way takes away their power surprisingly quickly. The client I wrote about earlier in this chapter discovered that her physical pain held important clues that could help heal her emotional pain, and she's definitely not alone. In this eye opening book, The Body Keeps the Score, Dutch psychiatrist Bessel van der Kolk explores this subject in great detail. He says that after going through a traumatic experience, as much as we try to pretend that nothing's happened and get on our lives as normal, the part of our brain that is devoted to ensuring our survival, deep below our rational brain, is not very good at denial. Long after a traumatic experience is over, it may be reactivated at the slightest hint of danger and mobilize disturbed brain circuits and secrete massive amounts of stress hormones. This precipitates unpleasant emotions, intense physical sensations, and impulsive and aggressive action. We do everything we can to avoid facing a trauma, but it's impossible to wipe it from our history. If we try to do that or pretend to, it will always come back to bite us. Instead, we must work with it, turn it over, and look at it differently. Let us stop here today. I think chapter one has a couple of more things, and we can continue tomorrow.